You're welcome back. Now, this afternoon on The Pulse, the Power Minister, the former Power Minister, Dr. Kwabena Donkor, is our guest as we discuss some pertinent issues that he's raising regarding the performance of regulatory agencies. We're referring here to the Lands Commission, the Minerals Commission, the Petroleum Commission, Forestry Commission, the Securities and Exchange Commission, the Water Resources Commission, Town and Country Planning, the Ghana Maritime Authority, the Fisheries Commission, Insurance Commission, and the Bank of Ghana, as well as the National Petroleum Authority, the State Enterprises Commission, and the Ghana Standards Authority, not forgetting the Environmental Protection Agency, Energy Commission, Public Utilities Regulatory Commission, Medical and Dental Council, Institute of Chartered Accountants, Food and Drug Authority, and even more. He's listed some regulatory lapses on their part, which he believes is costing the state huge amounts of revenue. One of them is the National Petroleum Authority, which he says has been lackadaisical about ensuring that oil marketing companies pay to government taxes that they collect from the public. In a document presented to Parliament, Dr. Donkor says the OMCs are indebted to the Ghana Revenue Authority to the tune of, get this, more than 640 million Ghana cedis in overdue and outstanding collections that they made on behalf of the GRA and have simply not remitted to the authorities, the GRA. He joins us for more. Dr. Donkor, it's a pleasure to have you. Thank you for making the time.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. So, before we get into this, because I'm very interested in this document and what its implications are, but I thought I'd just quickly get your thoughts on the budget yesterday and the fallout of it, some of the many events that have occurred since it was read.
Well, let me take the fallout first.
Okay.
The directive by the Minister for Roads and Highways for the abolishment, if I can use that word, of toll collection on our highways has very serious implications. Yes, a proposal, the budget as of today is a proposal.
Yeah.
Parliament will have to approve the policy statement as well as pass the appropriation bill. We are nowhere near either. There is also the Fees and Levies Act. Apart from that, there is also the Road Funds Act. There are so many laws which pertain to the toll booths. And therefore, any minister, no matter the good intention, cannot get up and issue a directive that is contrary to the law. Only Parliament has the power to impose levies, and it is only Parliament that has the power to remove levies. The executive will propose, and it's Parliament that has to pass the appropriate amendments to take away the levies. That has not been done. I may accept his intention. I may be generous to say probably he wants to preempt a situation. However, whatever methodology he adopts must be governed by law. And this, in my opinion, is not governed by law. In any case, I'm also the ranking member for the Committee on Employment. How many people are employed in these toll booths directly? I believe there are hundreds across the country. Then, of course, there are the indirect workers, those who sell around the toll booths. In a situation of high unemployment that we have, are we throwing more people onto the streets?
We were told yesterday in the budget reading that these individuals who were manning the toll booths will not lose their jobs. There is some plan to move them to other departments.
I have very serious doubts because the manning of toll booths are contracted to private companies. Is the state going to absorb those private companies? There are issues. We cannot make policy on piecemeal basis. Some of these things come out as an afterthought. We should be thorough. In any case, we are signing PPPs, private public partnerships, on road construction, or at least we have come out with the intention, there are proposals, and a part of the collection, the payment, is toll booths. All over the world, by the kindness of the Ghanaian public, have traveled to a number of countries. All over the world, tolling of roads is an acceptable practice to pay for roads. Why are we abolishing ours? Do we have challenges with collection? And assuming, without admitting that we have challenges with collection, is it just to abolish it rather than improve, come out with new methods in an age of digitization? As we throw things away because we have challenges with collection.
Today, the Deputy Finance Minister, Johnkumar, said on the Super Morning Show that this is not an abolition of the entire practice of road tolling. In fact, they want to encourage private companies in PPPs to construct roads and toll them under certain terms and conditions. So that they are hoping will continue. But this process of the government tolling state-controlled roads, that is what they seek to abolish.
Are we not creating more confusion in the minds of people? For the Ghanaian, does he care whether the road is constructed solely by the Ghanaian government or in partnership with a private entity? Do I have to differentiate? So if we don't intend abolishing tolling, why, for heaven's sake, do we do it now?
Well, that's just one of the many things that came out of it. We also hear of plans to tax every electronic financial transaction. Your thoughts on that?
Well, I'm still waiting for further details. Which are the electronic transactions? If you are filing your tax returns, with the new policies they're bringing out, you can do it electronically.
Apparently those are exempt according to the same Deputy Finance Minister we spoke to this morning.
Today, when the security services are recruiting, they are now doing it electronically. There is so much in the electronic space, so much services we purchase in the electronic space. If we're going to buy university admission forms, which they do electronically today, is that also going to be taxed? So for me, I will wait for further and better particulars.
There was a lot in the power sector as well. Did anything leap out to you about plans for next year?
Well, I didn't see much. We're talking about early power. Early power is already work in progress. They're talking about 128 communities being connected. It's already work in progress. I didn't see anything new other than the regular, the normal. I wanted to see some new creative thinking. I didn't see that.
Okay, so I know that in your time there were some IPPs signed. Government is planning to spend about $1 billion US dollars in payments to these IPPs. Any thoughts?
Well, we have contracts, they are generating. We have a responsibility to pay them.
Are they all generating? We are told that some of them are surplus to our requirements.
You were all here when the Minister for Energy said there is the need to add on to our generation, that we need to expand generation in order to uptake the new opportunities ahead of us. So how can they be surplus to requirements? We have a fundamental problem of short-sightedness, political short-sightedness in this country. And unfortunately, the media encourages it. Today, His Excellency the President, our President, goes around the world looking for investment, touting for investment. If somebody wants to come and set up a steel plant in Ghana, that person is not going to wait for 3 years for us to set up a thermal plant to have the power for him. There must always be some power available for expansion, for industrial growth, for new investment. The question we have not addressed as a people is how do we pay for that power? That should really be the discussion.
Okay, well, certainly the discussions are only just beginning. So thanks for giving your initial thoughts on a lot of these issues. Let's now get to this document. Now, this is something you've already presented to Parliament.
Yes.
And you're
so it's a public document.
Indeed. And you're looking at the regulatory institutions. You seem to see them missing some opportunities here. The NPA one is of interest to me. Tell me the detail here.
Let me give you an example. If you take the August lifting of NPA, and every month they come out with a lifting, there's a company called Safety Petroleum. I wonder how many Ghanaians have heard of Safety Petroleum or seen their filling station. I am yet to see one. Let's give the NPA the benefit of the doubt. They have a certain minimum of stations you need to have to be registered as an OMC. The maximum is 7. Let's give them the benefit of the doubt that they have 7 filling stations.
The minimum is 7, you mean?
Yeah, the minimum for registration is 7. In the month of August, this company, Safety Petroleum, lifted 15,797,400 liters of gas oil.
1 month.
In 1 month. This same company lifted 9,669,500 liters of gasoline, what do we call petrol.
Yeah.
And so for these two products, this company lifted 7% of the total national consumption for the month of August.
Wow.
It is impossible. Let me give you some examples. There are companies we know like Star Oil with presence. Star Oil lifted 4%. There are companies like Frames Oil Company. You see their stations all over the place. Frames lifted 3%. Zen lifted 2%. Puma lifted 2%. Allied lifted 1%. So how come, and you see their stations, they are very visible.
Yeah.
How come a new entity, an unknown entity, lifts 7% of the whole national lifting? There is absolutely something wrong. And this same NPA, and it's not necessarily about the current administration, it's about the institution. It's not about personality, it's about the institution. NPA comes out to say they have banned third-party lifting. Third-party lifting is when, for example, Total lifts and dumps the product in Goil.
Right.
They call it third party. They have banned that. NPA has a tracking system where they are supposed to know where every BRV, bulk road vehicle, goes. They have an enterprise software that's where they authorize the delivery to what we call consumer customers, that's industrial customers, right, etc. They have electronic sealing, and yet this happens. It's a typical example of regulatory failure. Either they have been negligent or they've been complicit.
I mean, could it be that this company trades under some other name, that their filling stations have a different name?
Well, that would have been third party. That's also banned. So that cannot also happen.
Oh, I mean, would that be third party? If I own a company and my outlets have a different name on them, but it's still the same company?
No, you can't.
Oh, right.
You can't. As a result of the negligence or connival of some officials of NPA, we know individual sponsors who have sponsored more than one oil marketing company.
That's also not allowed.
That's also not allowed. In every serious jurisdiction, that is not allowed. So what they do is that they rape up debts on one oil marketing company, and then they switch to the other. The state then spends time chasing them, and half of the time they don't even pay. There's a single OMC that today owes 80 million cedis. This is money it has collected from you and me on behalf of the Ghanaian state and has refused to pay.
These are the taxes we pay on petroleum products.
Petroleum, because when you go to buy, you pay upfront. Yeah. And a component of what you pay is a tax.
Yeah.
So they collect that, and within 3 weeks, they are expected to pay to GRA. They don't. A lot of them don't. And the challenge is that it is making legitimate entity companies who invest, who meet standards in the industry, it makes them unable to expand. Because the fly-by-night operators are taking away legitimate business. Today, a number of OMCs are distressed.
That company you mentioned,
and there are a few of them. I just mentioned one.
Safety Petroleum.
Safety Petroleum.
Taking 7%.
Yes.
Have they retired the taxes back to the NPA?
I leave that to NPA and GRA. The good thing is that I've drawn the public's attention. I made this statement on the floor of Parliament. And I believe NPA will take it up. I want to believe NPA will take it. It's just not only NPA, GRA. Because NPA is really a facilitator.
Right.
GRA is the custodian of the tax. They rake up these days, they go to GRA and negotiate. This is a Ghanaian state that is short of revenue. And yet what we collect, we do not remit to GRA. And NPA is only one example of massive regulatory failure. You see, in a democracy, governance stands on the legs of regulations and regulatory bodies. Unfortunately, in the Ghanaian polity, we politicians, and I'm one, too often take credit for things that we should not be taking credit for, and therefore assume responsibilities that are not ours. And as a result of that, we also have a media that does not hold state institutions responsible.
They're always focused on the politician.
On the politicians.
The politician is claiming responsibility.
Partly because of that. But I also expect the media to know better. Media, the Ghanaian media, there will be exceptions. But the Ghanaian media is generally not interested if it's not NDC MPP. And that is one of the banes of our underdevelopment. If we hold regulatory bodies responsible, and they are clothed with so much power by the law, if we hold them responsible, 50 to 70% of governance issues will not go to ministers. They are clothed with so much power. A chief executive of a regulatory body earns 3-4 times the salary of a minister. Why do we pay them so well? Because we want them to carry out as efficiently, effectively as possible the responsibilities we've assigned them. Half of them go to sleep. And the Ghanaian state itself seems uninterested.
Have you had a response to the statement that you made on the floor of Parliament? Has any consequential action been tabled?
I believe some right steps are being taken. For example, I've been invited by a minister. We've had some discussions. And increasingly, I've done a program with one of your sister stations. But what we need more than anything is to highlight these issues. It doesn't matter which party forms the government. Until we hold regulatory bodies responsible for what we have assigned them. And a number of these regulatory bodies are creations of the Constitution. In the natural resource space, the Constitution says we must have a commission to regulate, manage, and coordinate. Look at our Galamsey crisis. A perfect example of regulatory failure. Minerals Commission went to sleep. Forestry Commission went to sleep because a lot of Galamsey is taking place in forest reserves. Water Commission went to sleep. Our water bodies are being polluted. And the net effect is that it costs you and I a lot more money to treat water.
Yeah.
Ghana Water Company, the Community Water and Sanitation Agency, today, if they were private company, they would have gone bankrupt. The cost of treatment. And therefore, as a people, I want to go beyond the political class. The professional classes, the middle classes, the working classes must understand and must take up this fight of regulatory failure. Regulatory bodies ensure public safety. They are the custodians of public safety. Ghana Standards Authority. A number of electrical appliances are substandard. Half of the fires that we experience arise out of substandard cables, etc.
Yeah.
They are the custodians of public good. Food and Drugs Board.
Authority now.
Now authority, yes. They are the custodians of the public good. So this is the issue that...
Dr. Donkor, I have a feeling that this document might have even further reaching implications than we imagine in this conversation. But I'm so glad that you brought it to our attention. There's work to be done. We certainly hope that all the institutions that must respond will do so. The media ought to play their role as well in making that happen. Once again, thank you very much for making the time to explain this to us.
My pleasure for coming.
Yeah, that's Dr. Kwabena Donkor. You might remember him. He's the last power minister.
In fact,
indeed, the last power minister Ghana ever had. Okay, and of course, this document that he brings to the public attention certainly requires further discussion.